Hi, and welcome to Blockchain Future. Today I wanted to go a little bit deeper into decentralized finance. I found this article written by Max Bronstein on August 7th, 2018 that I think really dissects decentralized finance pretty well. There will be a link to this article in the description of this video. It is very long, so we'll only be touching on a few sections of it. But I do highly recommend you take a look at this article, as it really goes into depth on the future of the financial services industry, which will be based on blockchain technology. Let me start by reading off this overview that he put at the top here. One of the most exciting developments within the blockchain space is the coming of the decentralized financial system. In this new system, users will be able to access censorship-resistant financial services whilst remaining in control of their wealth and personal data. These financial tools will be open and permissionless. An internet connection will be the only prerequisite to accessing them, rather than geography and circumstance. Users will also have an unprecedented level of transparency when it comes to financial agreements, knowing the terms of every contract before entering into one. Similarly, financial agreements will be arbitrated by smart contracts that always execute as planned, eliminating counterparty risk from a variety of integral transactions. Lastly, the decreased cost associated with creating financial services, as well as their programmability, will allow for a more granular and efficient overall system. I thought that was a good overview of really what makes decentralized finance stand out from our current financial system. And his next section here does get into exactly what's wrong, or how our current financial system is, and what's wrong with it. Financial services are the crux of any economy. They enable individuals to exchange value, store wealth, and take on credit. Debit cards, credit cards, and digital banking applications allow us to spend money on goods and services. Bank accounts allow us to save money and earn interest on those savings, and loans give individuals and businesses access to capital so the economy can grow at a faster rate. Being the backbone of economic functions is quite valuable, so there is no surprise that the financial services industry makes up a great deal of the world's economy. In the United States alone, the gross output of the finance and insurance market was $2.6 trillion in Q4 2017, roughly 7.5% of the total US GDP, that's gross domestic product. While it's difficult to precisely measure the output of the financial sector relative to global GDP, the IMF estimated in 2014 that the figure was around 16.5%, the total output being worth approximately $13.1 trillion. So that's a lot of money that's going into these services that are basically managing money, giving out loans, issuing insurance. 16.5% of the total global GDP approximately is being used to kind of manage the money being used in the world. And it kind of goes deeper into some of the issues with it. Regardless of the market's total value, the financial services industry is rife with problems. Many of these problems stem from the fact that financial services are controlled and supplied by a central party. In such a system, a single entity can decide what extent it will provide financial services and to whom. This does not necessarily refer to a degraded quality of service, but rather a disproportionate influence over who can access these basic tools. In many cases, individuals cannot access basic financial services because of where they live. And that's referring to the, there's I think 2 billion people or something worldwide that just don't have access to banks because of their geographic location, and because the amount of in the transaction that they need to do is actually not big enough for the banks to want to care about them. So there is a big opportunity to give financial services to these people, not only to help them and help their lives, but also to bring them into the world economy. Then he kind of outlines the pitfalls here of the current financial services industry. The primary pitfalls of centralized financial services include unequal access, censorship, counterparty risk, and lastly is opacity and lack of transparency. So he then goes into the 2 billion people worldwide that do not have bank accounts, especially in regions like Africa and the Middle East and parts of Asia. So in order to bring these people into the economy, really it sounds like the decentralized finance system will be the best way to bring them in, since the current centralized system is not efficient enough to bring them into the world economy. This next paragraph actually kind of gets into what we were talking about a few videos ago. A Proud Boy was kicked off Chase Bank they didn't even give a reason, they just kicked him off. And there's been many reports of other people being kicked off of PayPal, being kicked off of all sorts of stuff just for certain views they may have. And while some of you may feel that that's actually something that's okay to do, it's all okay until it happens to you. So this next paragraph goes, centralized financial entities are also prone to censorship. Payment service providers are a great example, as they have the ability to exclude individuals from sending and receiving money. Many in the crypto industry are familiar with WikiLeaks, with the WikiLeaks example, in which Visa, MasterCard, and PayPal block the organization's ability to receive donations, effectively forcing them to take payments in Bitcoin. Funny enough, Julian Assange tweeted in 2017 claiming WikiLeaks' investment had appreciated 50,000%, which not only helped the organization survive, but also allowed it to hire more personnel to fund the initiatives that aligned with their ethos. So I'm sure that percentage has dropped if they actually kept it in Bitcoin since this last year. But this is a good example of at least they had an outlet to take those donations. Without Bitcoin or without a decentralized system, who knows what they would have done in order to take in donations. There's a few other examples here. Goes into counterparty risk, goes into basically a lot of the black market stuff that goes on with banking institutions and how blockchain can actually help them with that because of the fact that it is a ledger that is auditable. Then it goes into actually how blockchain will help. For the first time, Bitcoin enabled its users to be self-sovereign, meaning they didn't have to rely on a government or central party to store wealth. Until Bitcoin came around, there was no option for an individual to have full custody of their funds. Let me repeat the sentence because it's very important. Until Bitcoin came around, there was no option for an individual to have full custody of their funds. Wealth was either stored digitally, represented by an entry in a database, or through a physical bearer instrument like paper money. With Bitcoin, users could take full custody of their assets by running a full node. Doing so gave the user the ability to validate transactions without a third party. Bitcoin was also the first technology that allowed users to send value peer-to-peer without the need of a central party. Through Nakamoto consensus, a network of decentralized miners are able to agree on whether or not a transaction was accurate. So this really just sums up why this technology is such a breakthrough. Basically, removing the need for a third party for trust opens the door for very easy value transfer, which then opens the door for all of these decentralized financial tools. He then goes into Ethereum and why Ethereum was really kind of considered blockchain 2.0 because in addition to being able to transfer value, it also allowed that money or that value to be programmed. Ethereum applied similar principles to computation, enabling anyone to enabling anyone in the world to run an application without the fear of downtime or censorship. Developers use Ethereum to write smart contracts, self-executing pieces of code that encode basic business logic like asset issuance and value transfer. Smart contracts always run as planned and don't rely on a third party for computation. The platform relies on a decentralized network of miners who perform these computations in pursuit of a block reward similar to Bitcoin mining. Obviously, things have changed. They are moving to a new model, which will be more of a proof of stake model. We will get into that in a future video. But the underlying technology, as far as what it's doing, its goal is the same. Smart contracts are particularly useful for making basic financial agreements programmable, effectively bringing software to a lot of the problems noted above. In Ethereum, code can dictate how value is utilized past basic peer-to-peer transfers. Functions like venture financing, borrowing, and issuance purchasing can all be executed through smart contracts rather than relying on a central party. So Ethereum really just brings everything to the next level by allowing programmable money, pretty much. This then leads into all of the different decentralized financial services. So it starts off by talking about how it was pretty clear that a lot of these pieces of software were going to automate the financial industry. And it's pretty clear now that with Ethereum, especially Ethereum and other smart contract platforms, that pretty much anything that requires a contract these days that maybe requires somebody to be a third party for trust can be automated and go away. And that will dramatically lower costs for everybody involved, other than the person that's not going to have a job anymore. But he does break down the benefits of blockchain-based financial services here. So blockchain-based financial services are superior to their centralized counterparts across 5 primary features. Number 1, permissionless. Anyone is able to access decentralized financial networks through an internet connection. No individual can be denied service based on who they are, where they are born, or how much money they have. So this is number 1 for a reason. Obviously, those 3 points are pretty big, and this is really what makes decentralized finance stand out. No individual can be denied service based on who they are, where they are born, or how much money they have. Number 2, censorship resistance. No central party is able to reverse the order of transactions and deem a validated transaction invalid at some later point in time. Similarly, a central party can't turn off the service. Anyone with access can use a decentralized network. This is just the basic of what makes a blockchain a blockchain. Nothing can be reversed in a blockchain, or else the entire blockchain is not valid. Number 3, trustless. Users don't have to trust a central party to ensure that transactions are valid. That's the peer-to-peer model. No third party needed for trust. Number 4, transparent. Public blockchains are completely transparent and auditable. All aspects of financial exchange are made available. So I don't know if anybody's looked at things that, like Block Explorer. You can go and look at the Ethereum blockchain, and really, even though everything is semi-anonymous, you can see transactions, wallets, payments in and out of different wallets. So even though you don't know who owns the wallet, you are able to at least see the activity there. So that makes it really powerful for auditing. And number 5, programmable. Developers can create and intertwine financial services at a very low cost. Plug-and-play architecture helps compound the power of these services. That goes into smart contracts with Ethereum, basically being able to program money and write smart contracts that allow you to do things similar to like what Maker's doing with DAI, What I'm going to show you Compound here with lending. A lot of things that are done right now in the financial world manually can be automated. The author actually goes into basically why this stuff is taking time, because it's a bit slow right now. These blockchains are being built out to be faster, and the faster they get, then the more we'll be able to do with them. But it gets into things like the Lightning Network, scalable here. Talks about Lightning, channels that are being opened in parallel. So, imagine instead of everybody going to one door, you have 100 doors to basically do a transaction through. So Lightning scales horizontally. It's being built out right now. They've been testing it for a while. This was written last year in August, so they've made quite a bit of progress since then. It goes into state channels, and it also goes into stable coins. I did do a video. The last video I did was on stable coins. I just did a quick comparison between Tether, USD coin, and Maker DAI, basically showing that not all stable coins are the same. The author specifically does get into Maker here because of the reasons that I did bring up in the last video, that it actually is the underlying asset that's supporting it being worth $1 is actually a real asset, as in it's Ether. And I'll just go ahead and read this. Maker is a smart contract platform on Ethereum that operates the DAI stablecoin system, a complex decentralized organization that creates a price stablecoin asset. The DAI stablecoin is a collateral-backed cryptocurrency whose value is stable relative to the US dollar. DAI derives its value from the fact that it's collateralized in excess by some other crypto asset, currently only Ethereum. This is true right now, but they are working on a multi-collateral version of DAI that will be using multiple. They have other coins on the Ethereum blockchain that are actually wrapped. They have like wrapped Bitcoin, and once those are added to DAI, then we'll actually have a stable coin that is using multiple assets to underlie it, which will actually improve its performance. These assets are held in a collateralized debt position, CDP, which are smart contracts that generate DAI when the collateral is deposited and accept DAI when a debt position is paid off. The system also relies on autonomous feedback mechanisms and incentivize external actors to maintain its dollar peg. It also gets into the Maker token, which gets a little deeper into the ecosystem. And DAI, again, this was written in August. DAI is accepted at a lot of places now. You can even use it at Coinbase. It's only on Coinbase Pro, but you can use DAI on Coinbase. It gets into some other services here, which we don't need to jump into a bunch of them. I did want to show you guys the lending. Again, this article is linked in the description. If you want to read the whole thing, I think it's a good read as far as everything that's going on with decentralized finance. So as far as lending goes, it gets into Compound, which is something that I've checked out. So Compound is a decentralized protocol for creating efficient money markets on the Ethereum blockchain. Users can leverage Compound to lend out their ERC20 tokens in exchange for an algorithmically set interest rate, effectively allowing investors to trade the time value of their assets. Compound extends the benefits of blockchain technology to money markets, as users don't have to negotiate terms such as maturity, interest rate, or collateral with a peer or counterparty. Similarly, the history of each money market is completely transparent and auditable. So I actually have the Compound site here. So Compound, you can see that you can right now earn interest on these coins. So if you actually go to Compound here, it uses a smart contract. You actually have something like MetaMask installed on your computer, and you can actually lend DAI. So you could actually go and this isn't financial advice, but you could go and open a CDP with Maker, receive DAI back for the amount of Ether that you get, whatever percentage you set it at. You don't want to set the percentage too low because it could liquidate. The DAI you get back from your Ether, you could then come here and actually invest it and earn interest on it. So you can see that it actually has a 2.25% interest rate. This is a adjustable rate, so it does change. But you can see stay fully liquid. Assets are supplied to the protocol, which maintains excess liquidity, not another user. You can withdraw your tokens at any time. Avoid credit risk. Borrowers are over collateralized, and every aspect of the compound protocol is transparent in real time, the way finance should be, and always earn the best rate. Interest rates adjust based on the supply and demand unique to each asset. As borrowing demand increases, so will the interest you earn. So as these decentralized loan platforms get more popular, you will see these interest rates actually increase. And especially when we're not in such a bear market in crypto, I believe that these a lot more people will be looking at these loaning out crypto in order to make money on interest. So this is just another piece of the decentralized finance puzzle or system. And there are many other points here. Like I said, there was derivatives, loans, asset exchanges. Decentralized asset exchanges is really referring to decentralized finance. So there's many pieces to the decentralized finance system, but they're all coming together. It is very early, but it is very exciting as far as actually bringing the power back into your hands for managing your money without needing a bank or a third-party entity to trust in order to fully manage your money. I do want to kind of see what this last paragraph was pretty good. As the blockchain ecosystem matures, the community will realize that blockchains aren't a panacea for every problem, but rather a technological tool that allows us to create new forms of economic abundance by enabling anyone with an internet connection to access basic financial services. Blockchain technology has the ability to raise the standard of living for millions of people and jumpstart growth in a number of developing economies. Not only have we lowered the barriers to access, blockchains provide a number of needed efficiency gains, including censorship resistance, transparency, and programmability. These values will become more clear as blockchain technology eats the financial system. Now, this last sentence is very, very, very true. I also believe that cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology will eat the financial system, as in the old fiat system will literally be eaten by cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology, either by blockchain technology actually working its way into the current financial institutions or people moving their money into a decentralized financial system like cryptocurrencies. So I thought this article was very well put together. Again, Max Bronstein, it was a great article, very long article that he wrote, but I recommend you guys take a look, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. Thanks.